Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are. Hello. Thank you for watching my videos. It's Mike. It's August 2nd, 2009. Some news from the week. Of course, the big news was the GDP in the States. The gross domestic product of the United States declined at an annualized rate of 1.5%. No, it declined 1%, so saith the Statistics Bureau. We'll see. So that means that in quarterly terms, a decline of 0.25%. However, looking at this article here from the San Francisco Chronicle, GDP dips less than expected. Economists are all excited. Yeah, that's why oil and gas and commodities went through the roof yesterday, or sorry, on Friday. Anyway, they have a nice little chart here which gives you some kind of indication as to the slump. You will see that the slump actually begins somewhere in the end of 2007. There was a little bit of a spike upwards there, but that's probably fake. They have revised the earlier first quarter numbers as well. So, yeah, not looking quite as good as it should have done. Now, of course, a recession technically lasts no more than 4 quarters. I think we're into the 6th quarter of the United States being in a recession, but anyway, never mind. We're not supposed to know that kind of stuff. So moving right along, President Barack Obama comes out yesterday, or sorry, Friday, actually, yes, saying, it's great. The recession is far from over, however. We are on the way to recovery, but with unemployment currently at officially 9.5%, it's going to take some time. You are correct. Now, one of the things that's going to come out this week is the unemployment numbers for June. The Bureau of Labor Statistics will reveal how many people have lost their jobs in the last month or whatever. And some expect that the total unemployment rate may decline slightly. How is that possible, he says? Well, San Francisco Gate article, new push to extend unemployment benefits. Over the coming months, as many as 1.5 million jobless Americans will exhaust their unemployment insurance benefits and will no longer be counted as unemployed. Yeah, never mind. We're not supposed to know that either. May-June jobless up in 90% of metro areas. Yes. Metropolitan areas are declining dramatically. Unemployment rates rose from May to June in 348 of the more than 370 metro areas. Yes. We're not supposed to notice that either. And of course the US, in an effort to boost the economy over there, has been rallied out this new cash for clunkers plan, much like we have in the UK and in Europe. They're giving people up to $4,500 for trading an old car in with a fuel economy rating of 18 miles per gallon for a new one with a rating that was at least 4 miles per gallon better. So you basically need to buy something that gets 22 miles to the gallon. That's insanity. It's nothing over here is sold with anything less than, I don't know, what, 30 miles per gallon? Like my old BMW clunker I got rid of, it was doing, I don't know, 35 miles a gallon. It was a big car. And, I don't know, you guys in the States really got to get your gas mileage sorted out. Anyway, so, yeah, they burnt through the first $1 billion. By my reckoning, that's roughly 350,000 new cars have been purchased through this clunkers program. And the government there is saying, yes, indeed, we're going to extend this even further. We're going to do more and more and more. Over in Canada, Canada also released their gross domestic product figures. Yes, the economy retreated 0.5% in May. Now, I told you the States declined 0.5% in the period from, you know, the second quarter rather, so from April through June. Canada declined at 0.5% in May. Now, I'm wondering if that's an annualized rate, but it doesn't really say. Anyway, GDP had been expected to shrink 0.3%, so the Canadian economy isn't doing quite as rosily as everyone would expect. And apparently there's infighting within the various ministers in the government, some saying the recession is over and some saying it's far from over, and nobody's getting their story straight. Basically, they're running around like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off. Now, over in Japan, unemployment hit 6-year high. Now, of course, we all know that the unemployment numbers are seriously fixed, But regardless, the official numbers are at least, interesting to look at. The official numbers in Japan, 5.4% unemployment in June, up from 5.2% unemployment. Now, if we realistically double that, it means that Japan isn't doing quite as badly as North America, but certainly isn't fantastic. Now, who's getting unemployed? A couple of articles here. First from the Times. Young are hit hardest as jobs take a dive. Now, buried in the middle of this, it says that 2 out of 5 of the unemployment figure are young people under the age of 25. So 40% of the unemployed people, in the UK at any rate, are under 25. New graduates, etc. That's an awful lot of people with an awful lot of energy and nothing to do. So I expect things to start happening quite badly. San Francisco Gate, San Francisco Chronicle had a similar article. Tough job market requires that graduates adjust. In other words, don't expect to get a good job, folks. Or go volunteer or something. I don't know, I hear there's a new volunteer army thing going on in the States. Maybe that's one thing they can do with them. Now, a little interesting story from The Guardian. Well, actually, The Observer, but effectively The Guardian. Lloyd's Group has been trying to sell off £6 billion worth of Bank of Scotland loans. Now, who are these loans to? 60 different businesses, trying to find a single buyer to capture all this. Well, there isn't a single buyer out there stupid enough to do it, apparently. So they're having some difficulty getting rid of this junk. And so now what they're saying is they want to get a sale, to get the loans back, and get money for the equity. Refinancing the debt is a big issue. The sale is being handled by Lloyd's on Lloyd's behalf by UBS. There may be some long-term winners and losers in the portfolio, and potential buyers will want what they believe are the winners, but not the losers. Yeah, basically there's some real dodgy ones in there. Things like the View Cinema Chain, David Lloyd Sports Club, D&D restaurants, etc. Not doing terribly well in this particular recession. So that should play out quite interestingly. A couple of other quick stories. British Airways posts £148 million loss. Remains gloomy. Yes, decided to ground 22 planes. So they're cutting the number of flights that are actually occurring, etc., etc. Over in the States, 5 U.S. banks have closed on Friday. Most of them were tiny little things, but the last one, Mutual Bank in Harvey, Illinois, has agreed to assume the failed bank. The failed bank is First Bank Americano. Okay. Now, yeah. Okay, I got that all messed up. Let me start that one again. Over in the States, quick one, the U.S. economy isn't doing terribly well. 5 more banks closed on Friday. Regulators closed them due to lack of capital, etc. Now, most of them were fairly small, but the last one, Mutual Bank of Harvey, Illinois, had assets of $1.6 billion, $1.6 billion in deposits as well, which kind of indicates that all of their assets were the deposits, maybe. Anyway, its failure will cost Deposit Insurance Fund $696 million. So the FDIC is blowing through its fund pretty darn quick. I wonder when they're going to have to go cap in hand somewhere again. Right, Guardian Media Group plots closure of Observer newspaper. So this was in today's Times. The Guardian is considering closing the Observer, the world's oldest Sunday newspaper. Now, this is a big deal, because the Observer has been around for quite a while. George Orwell used to write for the Observer, and I've included a link to a story about the number of really good writers they've had. If you missed my channel news, there was something rather unusual that occurred on July 22nd. A very early occurrence of the Aurora Borealis over northern United States and Canada. Basically, you know, the Northern Lights. And I've included a link to some shots of this. Now, it's unusual because normally you don't get this till late August, September time. So, something odd going on with the atmosphere and the sun, perhaps. Finally, funny little story. Testing times for Wikipedia after doctor posts secrets of the Rorschach's inkblots. Now, of course, you've seen all these ink blots. You know, you're supposed to look at them and say, what does this remind you of? Oh, hate, death, kill, all that good stuff if you're if you're a soldier. Well, there are some correct answers to the ink blots, believe it or not. And I've linked here to the Wikipedia page itself that shows you the 10 ink blots and also tells you what they're supposed to be. So the picture in The Guardian is of the first ink blot. And it is supposed to represent, if you say that it looks like a bat or a butterfly or a moth, then you are mentally stable. If you say it looks like death, then they're going to rig you up for a little white jacket. Anyway, peace, love, understanding, think about things. I'll speak to you again tomorrow.